Hello, this is Craig Mertens, Director of Product Education for Inktavo, the parent company of InkSoft, Printavo, and GraphicsFlow. Welcome to InkSoft Academy. Today's topic is a topic that's kind of fun for me because we're going to talk about proposals, and we're not going to just talk about proposals from the point of view of like the technical stuff. We're also going to talk about proposals from the point of view of how you can use it in terms of sales and marketing your business. Got Joel Taylor with me. Hey, say hi, Joel.
Hello.
So Joel is what's your official title these days?
Customer Success Manager.
Yes, we call them CSMs. That's the slang within the organization.
Yeah.
Your customers. So Joel's job, well, tell them what your job is. Explain kind of what you do in your role.
Sure. So I will take on a new customer right from the very get-go after you speak with your sales rep, and I'll train you how to use the platform. And then once we're done with the training, I'll just be acting as your main point of contact. So if you guys ever have any questions after the training, you can just come directly to me and I can help you out.
Yeah, it's interesting to me, that level of human connectivity that we have in our company. It's pretty special in my opinion. And I'm a consumer too, and we use various web-based applications across our like our CSMs and a lot of our communication and marketing tools and project management tools. And there's no connectivity at all. You can't talk to a live human. I had one of our tools that I was using. I was having some support issues with it, and there was literally no way to talk to a live human. It was impossible. I tried every trick in the book, and they're not going to let you talk to a live human. As a result of that, I could not get that platform to work, and I chose not to use it anymore. I canceled it. Isn't that something? So my point is this: there is a human side to our company. And if you guys don't get to see this every day, but Joel can attest to this, like when we have a customer that's in crisis, maybe they're having payment issues or can't figure out how to do something, and we can't get them a frontline answer like right away. Literally, Joel, the company mobilizes around the Slack channel. It's wild. Like we'll pull in the dev team, we'll pull in the payments team, we'll pull in whoever we need to get the situation resolved. Obviously, it's not an optimal situation. We don't want that happening all the time, but it does happen. And so I guess what I wanted to say to you guys is that's part of what you guys subscribe to when you sign up for an Inktavo product, whether it's GraphicsFlow, InkSoft, or Printavo. We're here to help. And I got the coolest job in the world because I get to help lots of people like we're doing here today. And so we're going to talk about InkSoft proposals. And in a purest form of the word, a proposal really is more like the traditional quote, invoice, checkout, pay. That's what it is. It's more or less an invoicing system. But it's also a sales tool, which you can use to engage your clients, whether it's in a creative process or engage your clients in the quotation process. And ultimately what we're trying to do here is we're trying to just make it easy for your customers to buy from you. So interesting conversation I'll share with you. I was helping a client. It was actually a Printavo client earlier, and they're considering signing up for InkSoft. And I asked him a pointed question, and you guys all need to ask yourself the same question. What do you do when a client wants to order? How do you handle it? Like, do they just call you? Do they email you? Do they get on the phone? Are you chasing them down? Are you guys hopping around on text messages trying to find a time where you can talk? And the customer's answer was all those things. They're calling on the phone, they're chasing each other with text messages. And I said, hey, what if there was a way that you could interact with your client where they could do more self-service? And those people that really don't want to talk to a live human, they can just, click on the quote, prove it, hit pay, checkout, done, and it comes into you guys, and you're able to start processing their order immediately. Wouldn't that be neat? Well, that's what proposals is there for, is a way to project commerce without having to do a lot of, heavy lifting, manual, I call it brute force, tendency, it's kind of two opposite ends of the spectrum. There's the automation and technology end of the spectrum where you're just, you have to spend that time to learn how things work, and then you leverage that. And then there's the brute force stuff where I just, I'm going to pop into an Excel file and just pound through a phone list, right? Where I could just set up an automated email and an email sequence and just have it contacting people every week, it's that kind of a thing. And so at the end of the day, the proposals is really more of an automation tool. But in order to sell, what do you have to have in order to sell? You have to have a product, and you have to have cool graphics, right? Because what do our customers expect? They expect cool graphics. And where do those graphics come from? Well, they come from a variety of sources. Obviously, one of the sources they come from is going to be, people go to Custom Ink and these online sites and they screen grab stuff. They come to, they grab source artwork from all over the internet, they send you an email, JPEG, and you have to sit there and kind of figure out how you're going to process it artwork. It's not production ready, so you got to send it out to get it. You got to send that artwork out to get it, vectorized or set up for production. But part of the proposal concept, and stay with me on this one, is if we can get artwork created in an efficient fashion, if we can get ideas in front of customers, we're likely to close more deals. So what I want to do here in the class, first thing, I just want to create some artwork, and we're going to use that artwork. I'm going to load it into a proposal, and then I'm going to show you how that ties into a store. And we're going to kind of go through the whole process. So I'm going to share my screen here, and then Joel and I are going to turn off our webcam so we get a nice full screen preview. So let's see here, webcam. You good? You guys should be, yep, you guys are all seeing our screen. So artwork. So customer provides you with the artwork. You're going to build that out into a mockup using your proposals function. Maybe you develop something from scratch, or in this case, I'm going to develop a graphic that came from our sister company, GraphicsFlow. And so one of the things that a GraphicsFlow user can do is when they sign into their GraphicsFlow account, they have access to 7,030 as of today production ready digital templates. And so one of the biggest questions people often will ask, well, how is this different than InkSoft? So InkSoft Designer has its own SVG design engine, and it's a simple design capability that's really designed to make it easy for an end user to make changes to the files. It's not like you've created a file in Illustrator or CorelDRAW that has, multi-layer drop shadows and bitmap effects and text on a path, and which is everything you see in this graphic is those various things. So it's simple text, change colors. We're not dealing with bitmap effects and gradients and blends and things of that nature, simple graphics. The GraphicsFlow files are all created in both Adobe Illustrator and CorelDRAW, so they're built in a very powerful graphics program. And so as a result, we just can do a lot of things that we can't necessarily do in the InkSoft Designer, like for instance, have a plaid background that's changeable and color changeable. So the idea here is it's just this great big depository of artwork where your customers can go and look at it online, pick out a design, and actually for customization. So if you guys go to the InkSoft demo store, which is just demo.inksoft.com, Circus Print Shops right here, and I can drop that link in the chat if you guys want to check it out. So if you're on the live, you can actually go to the chat. If you're not on the live, should be able to see that URL right over here. You're going to see how this store is set up. This store is set up really nice. This is all a InkSoft-based main website for company, but you'll see two buttons here. You'll see a button that says Start Designing. That's going to go into the InkSoft Designer experience. So if the customer wants to self-serve and pick a product and upload a graphic, get a quote, or design on their own. And then you're also going to see a button here which is going to say Design Ideas. And this is where that art portal from GraphicsFlow gets embedded into your InkSoft site. And this is like the easiest thing in the world to do, is to embed an art portal, because you just go to the content block, you go to HTML mode, and you paste the embed code that we provide, you hit apply, and it's done. It just shows up right in here. And you can set this part up however you want, but this is just a page. And so the idea is the customer wants to, do a soccer design, and they go in and type in soccer, and they want this design. They put in the notes on what they want, and they check out, and they fill out the form, and you can put whatever you want in the form. And then what happens is this comes into GraphicsFlow as a design request. So what we're going to do is we're going to localize the design, we're going to save it, and we're going to build a proposal around it. But it all starts with the graphic. And one of the things that I love about the combination of InkSoft and GraphicsFlow is I get ideas in front of customers really quick. And in this case, I'm just going to go over here to the request, and it says, okay, I need a fresh new soccer design for our team. Please specify your in-hand date for the project. So they said 8/31. Well, that's sneaking up on us. Who is your sales rep? They put in their sales rep, and then they put in the notes they wanted changed. So it says, can you change this to Central Cougars, Navy, and Scarlet CHS? Yeah, we can do that. So I don't have to bring it into Corel or Illustrator. I can just click on that little button and just say customize. And we're actually natively editing in the original file that was created in Corel or Illustrator. We have a very powerful vector engine that's doing everything behind the scenes. It's not like the InkSoft Designer where you can select things and move them around. You can't really get into any trouble here. And this allows a front office person or a salesperson to interact with the artwork. You don't even have to involve your art department. And the net result, you're going to get a production ready digital file. So what I'm going to do is we're going to change this to Central and High School. And we're going to change this to Cougars. And I can change the clip art if I want to, but I'll just leave the soccer clip art in here. But I'm going to consolidate the colors a little bit. And then I don't want the year, I'm just going to put CHS in here. And then let's go in and, yeah, I mean, I could turn the soccer ball off if I wanted to, but I think the soccer ball really helps the graphic. If I turn it off, I could replace it with a mascot too, but we're just going to kind of keep it as is. And so the customer requested scarlet and navy. So I'm going to go over here and take the burgundy and make it more of a scarlet color. And you'll notice the UI looks a lot like the InkSoft designer. That's by intention. Where the black is, we're going to make that kind of this fun navy blue here. And then where we have the gray here, let's say I'm screen printing this and I'm kind of really aware of the number of colors in the design. Yeah, I might get rid of the gray. If I'm doing a digital print or sublimation, direct to film, DTG, I don't really care about the extra colors. But I'm gonna go ahead and take this gray here and I'm just gonna recombine it to white. So now we're down to a 3-color. And when we build out the proposal, you'll see why that's kind of important. And so I've got it localized, everything's looking good. I can make text bigger, smaller, change all the attributes, fonts, all that kind of stuff, but we're just gonna stay with this and I'm gonna hit Save Design. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna save this into my GraphicsFlow account so I can come and grab it anytime I want. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna download a PDF file. So if I'm gonna bring this into InkSoft and I'm gonna create a proposal, I wanna bring in a PDF file because we can parse out the vector artwork in the file and do color changing and colorways with it. I can also do that with a PNG file, but it's a bitmap, so it's, you know, it's not as scalable and as production friendly, where if I do the PDF file, I get a really nice production ready file. And so I'm gonna save this PDF file and we'll just call it Central Cougars Soccer 23. And I'll just hit save. So that's it. I've localized this design. So let's go and build out a proposal real quick here. So couple ground rules when we're doing proposals, and I'm going to set this proposal up and link it to my Central Booster store. And we should probably take a look at the Central Booster store just so you kind of know why that linkage is important. And this is a new feature, and Joel and I are really kind of excited about this feature because when I set up a proposal now, I can link it to the store. And what that means is that the branding and the colors from the store are going to pass through to the proposal. And little trick, this is important. When you're in the style editor in the store, the proposal is going to pull the background color from the proposal from this background color. So if I change this to gray, it's going to change the background color for the proposal to gray, but I like the red. Now, Joel, were you on the Slack channel when they roasted me for doing the video with the red background in the proposal? Did you happen to pick up on that?
No, I didn't catch that.
Yeah, so I got roasted pretty good because it was very bright, and the red. You guys will see that the proposal is really bright with the red background. I really liked it because I like red and it's kind of fun, but the color of the proposal background is going to be tied to this in your main page right here, background color. So I'm going to choose red, which is fine. And that's what it already is. So when I go to create the proposal now, I'm going to go to proposals. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create the proposal and true to form. Joel, I think this is pretty consistent. Seems like to initiate things or to go to next steps, generally speaking, it's going to be in the upper right corner. Do you find that to be true in the platform?
That's pretty globally. Yeah, that's our universal design language. Top right corner.
Perfect. Top right, create store, top right, create proposal. Same, it'll be in the same place. So we're going to say create. We're starting a new proposal. And a couple things that I think are generally, I do this right first. I always name it up front. So, because otherwise I forget to name it. So I'll say Central Boosters Soccer Fall 2023. This is my concept. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my customer. This is really important. So when you add a customer, you can link that customer. Now this is a new thing that we've added. You can link that customer to a store when you set them up in the CRM. If you link them to the store, what will happen, they will automatically populate to the store assignment. And what that does is it picks up the look and feel and the settings of the store and the proposal. So that's how it gets linked. The only way it will link is if the customer is assigned to a store. Now, if I go over here and go to add customer and I put in Greg, my alter ego, and Greg right here is not actually assigned to a store. Right here, it would say if he was assigned to a store. So right now, it's fine. So right here, Wyatt Gregory is assigned to Circus Print Shop, right? But Gregory Morton here is not assigned to Circus Print Shop, but he is affiliated with Central High School. He's affiliated with Central High School because that's his company name, but he's not affiliated with the store. So I can go back into the customer account and change that if I want, but we're going to use Gregory Morton here. And you'll notice now I have the freedom to assign Gregory Morton to the store. If he was already assigned to the store, this is going to auto-populate and gray out. And so I'm going to go and assign this to my store, which is Central Cougars Boosters, the CM variety right here. This is my store that I use, and then all the details. And this is actually really important in my opinion. Expiration date, always put an expiration date. This is a best practice on a proposal. Here's why. In InkSoft, when you are doing product and you're adding a product, and let's say you're adding a product from Sanmar, Alpha Broder, or from SNS, those are the big three. When we pull in pricing to generate pricing for like the InkSoft designer, when they're auto-generating a quote in the designer, we're pulling in case pricing from those three vendors. And in the case of SNS and in the case of Sanmar, that case pricing always stays. It's always the same case pricing, but Alpha Broder is different. So Alpha Broder has chosen to override that pricing with sale pricing. So the other two manufacturers, our suppliers, we said, hey, listen, we don't want sale pricing in there because sale pricing moves around and it messes up people's cost basis when they populate stores. Alpha Broder said, we're not going to do that. So they just have a different philosophy on it. So putting an expiration date on your proposal is smart because if you use an Alpha product and it was on sale, it might go up and then you're locked in at that older price. And just in general, prices change. So putting a expiration date on there, maybe 30 days out, I think is smart because if there's a price change, you have an opportunity to go and update the proposal with the new price. You can always extend the proposal, but if you're doing that, you probably want to take a peek in at the pricing to see if there's been a price change. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a best practice here, and I'm going to put this out October 23rd, 2023, and I'm going to put it out basically a month. On the in-hands date, it doesn't really matter what the in-hands date is, but I could put the in-hands date, next week if I want to. It could be earlier. We're going to use TaxJar integration to calculate the tax rate. Joel, I'm kicking it over to you. Can you talk a little bit about TaxJar integration?
Yeah, so TaxJar, if you set up a location for your business, it's going to calculate tax automatically based on any other zip code in your state. And then for out-of-state orders, that is entirely dependent on that state's nexus laws. So long story short, you may or may not have to have your nexus set up in other states you're shipping to, depending on if you've met those nexus requirements or not. And you'd want to have that set up in advance before you start shipping to another state if you need to have it set up.
Yeah, and it's important to talk about Nexus for a second here. Nexus is the sequence of activities in your business that triggers sales tax requirements. So it's different for every state. So maybe we're in Arizona, we do business with Oklahoma, and we've only done 2 transactions in Oklahoma. So I haven't met Nexus, but maybe I have an office in Oklahoma that triggers Nexus. I have to charge sales tax into Nexus. So interesting enough, like with Amazon here in Arizona, they charge me sales tax, but it's not the full 8.2%. It's a special sales tax for e-commerce, which is, I think it runs about 4 or 5%. So, we're not giving out tax advice, certainly, but being knowledgeable about, if you're doing a lot of out-of-state business and once you reach Nexus, you're going to be responsible for charging sales tax with interstate commerce to that state. So just being knowledgeable about that's really important. But that's the stuff that TaxJar handles. It handles once you've reached Nexus and that you're taxable in another state, it can calculate all the the taxes based on, I think it works off of zip codes primarily. Is that right, Joel?
Yeah, zip code.
Yep. So I'm going to have it automatically tax the rate. I am going to go in here under payment details. This is really important. So I'm a huge advocate of payment upfront, or at least 50% deposit. Yes, I know sometimes your customers kind of get conditioned to net terms, and when you're dealing with schools, obviously at certain times it's unavoidable. If your school has net 30 terms as standard, or some of them are net 60, we all know we're not going to get paid in 30 days. And this is a great reason to do revenue share programs with schools. So you're writing them a check versus waiting 90 days to get paid. Just a great business practice. But on this proposal, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set it up so a deposit is required. I'm going to set it up that the deposit is a percentage of total, which is going to be 50% of total before we advance the order. And then balance due, we can set a fixed date or a date of approval. Now, a fixed date might be important because you might want to set that fixed date up to line up when your anticipated ship date is. But most people are going to do days from approval. And so we'll set up days for approval. And I'm just going to say, hey, 7 days after it approves, you're going to owe me the rest. And then shipping details is just going to be based to whatever. I don't have any shipping details set up in this particular store. Joel, what's the best way to set up the shipping details for this?
You want to make sure you handle it on the proposal. If you try and process an order without it, it won't let you do it. But you have to first have products on the proposal before you can add the shipping or pickup.
Yeah, so we'll add a product and we'll show you how to go back and set up the shipping. And in this store, when I copy the store over, I had already set up, I believe, UPS and US Postal Service ground priority. So those are probably I'm thinking those are what's going to populate there. Under the shipping details, display settings, that's kind of a personal thing. If you want to have a little bit of flexibility on which brand of t-shirt you're going to offer, then what you would do is you would not display a manufacturer, and then when you put the product description in, when you add the product, you would bypass, I would change the product description and to take out like the word Gildan, just make it 100% cotton tee. Same thing with SKU. So I'm going to turn, in this proposal, I'm going to turn those off because I want to give myself a little bit more flexibility. Anything you add to that point?
No, that's pretty much it.
So I'm going to build a product. We can add art too, but I'm just going to build a product here. And so the first thing you're going to see when you build a product, these are all the kind of the pre-decorated things that we've created over time. So this is all pre-decorated products. So that's the kind of the first thing that we're going to see. But I don't really want to see pre-decorated products. So maybe I want to go in to see the product that I have already selected for this store. So Central Boosters. This is all my pre-decorated product for the store. And then here's all the things that are blank. So this is just artwork and products that I've already built out for my store. And the artwork are the blank products that are coming into here. These are coming from products that I added to the stores. Joel, do you want to talk about how these products get into the store?
Yeah, so what we're looking at here is every blank product you've added from the supplier catalogs to your account. So once you add a product to your account, it's accessible pretty much everywhere in a storefront or in a proposal, which is what we're seeing here, these blanks. So you just got to add them one time and then they're available for you to decorate. And we're also seeing the decorated products from the Central High Boosters store.
So I had gone into products and just added things that I thought were kind of common products. And, let's talk about like a school store specifically. Yeah, customers generally back me up on this, but customers will tell me 60 to 70% of the volume for wearables is going to be accomplished in a school store with 100% cotton tee, 100% cotton long sleeve tee, crew neck sweat, hoodie, dry fit tee, dry fit hoodie. And I don't know if that's accurate to your business, but it seems like pretty sound advice. And so when I'm building out stores, I don't want to have to pour through every Gildan product. I want to add that to my store catalog. So just the things that I commonly use are going to pop up, so I don't have all the kind of clutter there. And I think, it's kind of that 80-20 rule. I think 80% of the business is maybe 20% of the SKUs. but taking the time to kind of curate your store catalog is a really smart thing. And Joel, do you do that when you do the initial setup? You kind of point people into that?
Yeah, it's really tempting to want to add the entire Sanmar catalog to your account, but I wouldn't recommend that. And if you put all that on a storefront, a customer is probably not going to know what to choose because they'll have 50 different shirts to choose from. So
Yep,
it's a
exactly.
win-win for you and your customer.
So let's just pick a crew neck sweat here, and let's go and pick a couple colors here. And let's upload artwork for that crew neck sweatshirt. So remember we created that piece of artwork in GraphicsFlow, and because that artwork is vector based, when I upload it, and I just put it into my downloads folder so I knew where to find it. And I'm just going to upload this because it's vector based. We're actually parsing out the vector artwork and the color layers in the file. We're parsing that out. And the kind of the advantage to parsing that out is the ability to now go in and do like what we call colorways. Did I not hit done? I think I did. Maybe not. Oh yeah, we did. Cool. So we've got our little file over here. We want to put the art on here, and we've got it set up, and then maybe make it a little bit bigger. And here's the thing that I think a lot of times InkSoft users take for granted. You know, if you're creating a mock-up in, you know, another, let's say you have a Shopify store, and you have to create mock-ups in the third-party app like Canva or Corel or Illustrator or whatever. But you bring it in here and you notice that, oh man, you bring it into, and you notice that it's not quite in alignment because everything's, you know, you can just go in here and grab that. The other thing too, I think most people know, when you change image locations, you know, the tool is going to automatically, you know, place it on the new print location because we've mapped every one of these blanks. And Joel, did you know that a human being has to go and do that every time there's a new product blank? You know, we have a whole team of people that do that.
Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
tedious.
Yeah, it's nothing fun. I'm not sure whose responsibility that is these days, but we have to map out print locations based on the product photography. So if there's a side image of this particular product, which there isn't, but there's a back image, we have to map out those print locations. And you notice when I go to back, it's not populating the back because it knows we probably want to add a separate graphic to that. So I could upload the back graphic here too. Did I get that right?
Yep, that's right.
Okay, cool. So we've got this set up looking good, but those colors aren't going to work for navy. So I'm just going to do a colorway, and most folks are familiar with that works. But colorways will work on vector-based files like a PDF, EPS, AI. The most common ones I think are SVG and PDF. Those are the most common ones people will incorporate into InkSoft. And if you want to ensure you can do colorways, SVG and PDF are the way to go. Have you had success with other formats on colorways?
Not really. I've seen EPSs work, but there's a lot of stuff that can go wrong with it. I'm not sure exactly what does, but SVG
Yeah.
and PDF are the best.
I would say, and I'm really glad you brought up the EPS thing, and I'll get on my soapbox for a second here. EPS is a horrible format, but the reason that people kind of default to EPS files, if you're kind of old school for me, that was the default vector format for a long time. And so the quality isn't the issue with EPS files. EPS file can carry the same exact vector data as the PDF file. It can't carry certain effects like blends and gradients with the same kind of color fidelity and print fidelity. So that's certainly problematic with EPS files. The problem with EPS files is they're version sensitive, meaning every program that makes an EPS file makes a slightly different EPS file. So if you made it in Corel, or if you made the EPS file in a signed program, or you made the EPS file in Adobe Illustrator, or maybe you have an old version of Freehand, it's a different flavor of EPS, and that causes havoc with us being able to parse out the vector data. And you'll see that same issue when you try to import EPS files into like Corel or Illustrator. Sometimes they're just kind of weird. So PDF is always your best choice. SVG is a good secondary choice, but one of the nice things about PDF files is you don't have those version sensitivity issues. They just always come in the same way. And so because we brought a PDF file in here, that allows me to do a colorway where I can select this navy blue right here. And actually, we don't need to change the navy. Let's go back to navy. I need to take the navy and make it a different color. So what I'd want to do is take this navy and maybe make it a gray. And so I'm just going to come in here and we'll just pull up a light gray and see what that looks. Yeah, it actually looks pretty good. That looks really good. So I'm going to hit done. Always remember to save colorway. So this part gets a little bit confusing. So let's take a kind of slow things down a little bit here and just say best practice. Save colorway, okay? Make sure you have the product selected over here, then add the new colorway. So make sure it's selected before you add the new colorway. Then select the other product, and you can, that looks terrible, but we want to go over here and add the other colorway. So you're basically just shuttling between them. And, if you want to start over, you can go that route too. And so that's how you do it. So just make sure you have the product selected before you change the colorways. And you can see that you can just shuttle back and forth here. So then you're going to create the mockup. And remember what we did when we set this up. We're not displaying I think, what did we say? We're not going to display the SKU in here. I can't remember how we set that one up. But what we're going to do is we're going to put all the pricing parameters in here, and we have to specify a decoration method first, correct? So specify screen print. We're not doing anything on the back, but we are going to specify a color count, which in this case, this is a 3-color design. And we're not doing a back decoration method. And then we need some quantities in here. And so I'll just pump in some quantities here. It's a nice big order. We're really excited about this. And we're gonna pump some quantities in here. And we'll do the same thing. The navy is the more popular one, so we're gonna double these up. And really pretty excited about this order. Wow, that's a whopper, huh?
That's a big one.
That's a big order. All right, we love these. I used to write orders like this when I'd sell to college bookstores, right? Big 288 pieces per design, 144 on the crew neck and 144 on the other color, because we were populating the bookstore. I used to sell to the University of Colorado. That was my biggest account. It would be a nice account to have these days. I'd be in there every football game, stocking the shelves to make sure my merch was on the rack as it was selling out. So I was in a whole nother life. So we've got all this in here. We're going to add it to the proposal now. And we need to save the proposal. So if you try to bug out here, you're going to get the prompt like, hey, you kind of need to save this. But you can save it along the way, but I just save it as I go. So we'll just go ahead and save it. And then once we save it, we've got a few more options here. So shipping details is getting flagged because now we've added product, and it's getting flagged that, hey, you need to pick a shipping method. So I'm going to go over here and I'll put in all the customers' shipping credentials and all that kind of fun stuff. And then I'll pick a shipping method. But I think most people understand how that works. So I'm not going to key that all in here. But one of the things that you want to do is you want to preview what the proposal is going to look like. And you got some icons over here. And if you click on the 3 dots icon, this is pretty consistent throughout the application. This is where all of the functionality that's available for this proposal is, because this can just operate as an order that the customer's never going to see this proposal. You're just entering this into the system and applying a payment to it. So anything you want to add to that, Joel?
Not particularly, but anytime you see 3 dots, don't be afraid to click them. There's probably some useful stuff you would use there.
Right. So the add payment thing, I'm not even going to send this to the customer. I already got the order. They faxed over or emailed me the order. I'm just putting it in the system, and I've got their card, and I'm just going to mark it paid, and it goes into orders, and it goes into a production workflow. So just because you use proposals, this is how you're entering an order. And basically what I'm entering an order. But where it becomes a proposal is that ability to send it to the customer. Got a shareable link here. I can print the quote. If I want to old school, walk it into the client. I can print it out as an invoice. What's the difference between a quote and an invoice, Joel?
Well, in a proposal, all 3
Yeah.
of those options would do the same thing. It just changes the way that it looks, really.
It's just a label. One thing that's important to recognize here, which is actually really important, is this is creating a pipeline. And so your open proposals are going to be visible as a pipeline. And so one of the things that if a proposal is lost, you want to go in and mark it lost, because that will deduct that proposal from your open pipeline. So I noticed, like in our demo account, we have a great pipeline. I don't know, it's $300,000, because nobody's ever marked a proposal as lost in our demo account. So it looks like there's a lot going on. But you also have a button here for send to orders. So if we just want to immediately pop this over to the orders and just make it an order without going through any additional process. And then you also have a button in here, obviously delete proposal. But the important one I kind of wanted to show was customer view. And so before I send this proposal out to any customer, I want to put eyes on it. And like Joel was saying, preview as a quote over here. The only difference between preview as a quote and preview as an invoice is how it's labeled. A quote, you notice it has the approve and pay button. And this is actually a web page. This is a web page. It's got a URL, and it has the approve and pay button, which to me is just awesome. So I want to put some eyeballs on it, make sure I didn't make a mistake in the pricing. We've all been there. Taxes getting calculated. I don't have a shipping method in there, but it would be good to add your shipping method before you send it out. And same thing if we go to customer view and we go to invoice, this is going to look the same. It's just going to be labeled as an invoice. That's basically the difference. And I got, in my way of thinking, an invoice is just an approved quote. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take a look at proposal view. And this is the one, I really like this. And there's a reason that I like this. It's interactive, so the customer can kind of has an experience where it's like a web page and they can click on things. They see where it's going, who it came from. All of their branding came from the store. I'm going to go over here and click on view proposal. Tells them the expiration date, whatever the proposal number is, if they need to refer back to that. They go to proposal. They want to see kind of it has a number of colors. They can see the details in the mockup, so they can use this to approve the artwork. It's very clear there's nothing on the back. Again, we're reiterating the color and the quantities and pricing, which is nice. And then we've got the subtotal, all the money here, and you notice kind of a little bit of redundancy. Approve and pay, the payment terms, approve and pay, but yeah, we put it up here too, so they can't miss it. And we also have a messaging system. Do you want to talk about the messaging system a little bit, Joel?
Yeah, so if they click that little icon, customer can leave a comment, so you can have some back and forth. And if the customer does leave a comment, you, the admin who created the proposal, would get an email notification with a link directly to the proposal, so you can open up that chat and respond back to the customer. So good way to go over back and forth.
I think that's great because maybe there's a price discrepancy, or hey, I didn't really want navy, I wanted royal. We just had that it was a happy accident, but we ordered our trade show shirts for Fort Worth, and I thought we were ordering navy, but we ordered more like a marine blue, and they came in and everybody loved the marine blue, but we didn't have an approval process. Here we are, we're not practicing what we preach, right? So what we should have done is we should have set up an InkSoft store where everybody would put their size in, and that would have had a virtual sample of what it was going to look like, and we would have caught the color discrepancy. But happy accident, everybody loved the marine blue color better than the navy, so it worked out well. But these are the kind of things that we want to avoid. The customer has a visual reference as to what it's going to look like, the colors of the graphic, but most importantly, approve and pay. And improve and pay, what we're trying to do is condition that customer to pay us upfront. And it's kind of, I'm not saying you're trying to smoke it past them, but it's just the way we do business now. And before we get started in your order, we need a minimum payment because I have to order the blanks from my supplier, and so I have to tie up that money. And they could, who knows, they might just be, hey, let's get it out of the way and just pay the whole thing. Or maybe they want to pay 3/4 of it. So when they go to next, this is where we're going to be prompted for the payment method. And so ACH is a new offering that's part of InkSoft Payments. That's a big deal for us because one of the pieces of feedback that we got for clients is I want to be able to offer ACH because on these big orders that are $6,500, I want to reduce my credit card processing expense. And I know if I offer them ACH, I'm going to save a ton on credit card processing. This ACH option is available here because I enabled it in my payments section in InkSoft. I don't have to have it available. If I enable it, it's going to show up in proposals, but it's not going to show up in stores because we're not going to enable ACH in stores. Somebody's doing a $15 t-shirt order, but it will show up in proposals. If I go back into my payment settings under payments and disable it, it's not going to show up here. So customer puts in their credit card, on an ACH, they got to put in their all of their banking information. They check out, they got to click through your payment information, all your disclaimers, so to speak, that you set up, And then they can save their banking information for future orders, which customers like to do that. So it's just facilitating getting paid. And so what we're doing is we're kind of getting the customer to engage in the artwork. We did a cool little custom graphic for them. We're getting paid up front. We're processing an order. Once they hit approve and pay, it's automatically going to convert to an order. Or remember, we can manually push it over to an order in the proposal too in advance of payment. But did I get that right? It's going to automatically go to orders after they pay.
Yep, that's right.
Or I can jump the gun here and say send orders right now before I have payment. And in that case, it will show in the orders list it's not paid. So you can have some visibility on it. Now, here's the magic right here. Clone proposal. Customer wants to do a reorder, clone the proposal. You got all you really have to do is probably change the expiration date and the enhanced date, and possibly they've indicated to you that they have different quantities, or maybe they've added a product, but you've got that jump start. So for processing reorders, this is one of the coolest ways you can process a reorder is through cloning proposals. But guess what? We have clone stores now. And so it was interesting. I was in one of the other demo accounts yesterday. I noticed Clone Stores wasn't in there. And the reason Clone Stores wasn't in there, that particular store, Joel, was not upgraded to Sales Doc. It still had the old architecture. Do you want to talk about Sales Doc and why it's important to get upgraded to Sales Doc and how to tell if you have Sales Doc? Do you want to chat about that for a second?
Yeah, so Sales Doc, it's kind of like getting your pipes replaced in your walls. It's a lot of stuff in the background, but it does come with some new features. But you would notice a lot faster loading times throughout the entire admin portal. It gives you access to InkSoft payments, which we definitely want to get people signed up for. It comes with better reporting, which is actually pretty amazing. I don't think we made a big enough deal about that, but that's been huge. The custom reporting, you just tell it what you want to include in the report, and it does it for you.
Yeah, and also like the ability to link stores with proposals, the ability to have access to the end user customer portal and have your proposals show up in there. Drag and drop reordering of components in the designer, but clone stores is the big one. And if you're in here and you don't know if you're upgraded, and I don't know, 98% of our clients are on Sales Doc, maybe I don't know what it is the latest app, but it's most everyone's converted. If you don't see payments in here, you know you're not on Sales Doc. And if you go to payments, we talked about that ACH thing. If we're in payments under preferences, this is where you can enable or disable ACH, and it tells you right here, kind of the scoop on that. It's not going to put it in your stores, but it will let you have the ability to add that to proposals, so any kind of manually processed order. But let's kind of scoot down here and we'll have a little bit of fun. If I go to that store that we created, and we created that Craig Merton store, and the Craig Merton Central Booster store is my own little personal store that I use for demos. And if we go to that store, it has a layout, and it has a very distinct layout, and it's the layout that I like to have for my base store layout. And so you'll notice, I think that graphic is already in here. Yep, that looks familiar. So this is my base store layout for schools. And so it looks nice. And here's the thing, I see you guys, I see your stores all the time. And it's kind of like, somebody has a new baby and you're looking at the baby, oh, the baby's so cute. Well, here's the thing. Some of your stores aren't cute. And I know why your stores aren't cute. Your stores aren't cute because you got a whole bunch of stores to set up, and you just don't want to go in when you do a store and have to do all this stuff, go in here and change the promo banner and add this and add a fundraiser, and you don't want to have to do that every time. So you just do a basic store, which is product. Here's the thing, Dorothy, you've been in Kansas all along. You've had the copy store feature for forever, even in the old pre-Sales Doc thing. If you use the copy stores feature, you would get all of this. You would get this layout, all the settings from the store would have come over, and you could have those wonderful aesthetics in your store for every one of your school stores because you're just copying it. But it didn't come over? Product, this would come in blank, and artwork. Product and artwork wouldn't come over. But that all changed. And that all changed because now you have the clone stores feature, not copy store feature. And so when you copy the store, all the product and the artwork comes over, and well, voila, all I have to do is come in here on this store and go in and log into the store. I'm just going to log in the store real quick and change the color scheme using Style Editor. So I just changed the color scheme using Style Editor. I updated the banner. I went over to Store Admin and went to Branding. So I went down here to Branding and uploaded the new brand logo for the icon and East and the banner. And then the other thing I did is I went over to the designer, and when the store comes over the design, I always enable the designer in every store. Always enable it. And I'll show you why that's a smart move here in a second. Because you can let the customer edit files that they're designing on, like maybe they went in and uploaded their company logo and they just want to drop the department in. They can actually upload their company logo into the internal InkSoft designer tool, drop a line of text in there, the same font, save it, and the customer can go into their designer and their end user account and name drop it by department and check out. So always enable the designer. Now, with that being said, the first time if you do enable the designer, you do have to go over here to add, and you have to pick you have to either manually add categories, or you pick another store that had template and clip art categories, and you can just select all and add those same categories. But you have to do that every time you clone a store. You have to do that. I found that out the hard way. I was like, why don't I have any templates on my designer? But let's go back to the store editor, and you notice I have the designer in here, right here. Got the designer in there. And what I did is under the main navigation, let's see here, edit. What I did is I enabled that, but if you don't want it, you can just turn it off, but they can still get to it through their customer portal. They can still get to it. Now, what we're gonna do, this is gonna be fun. Okay, you ready, Joel? This is advanced stuff. Do you think they can handle it?
I couldn't handle it when I found out, so.
Okay, here's where we're gonna embed the art portal from my GraphicsFlow account into the store. So I'm gonna go to art portal, and this is what my generic art portal page looks like. Just generic, we dynamically created this page. But what I wanna do is I wanna go to art portal settings, and this is where we can pick the categories we want in our portal. This is where we can go in and add sub galleries from art approvals in here. I got a bunch of those in there. I can go and add custom fields. I can allow the customer to upload art if they want to upload their mascot, because they're like, hey, do this template, but here's my mascot, or here's the source artwork I found online. They can do that. But most importantly, right here, copy embed code. So if I go over here and go to copy embed code, and I go back over to my store, I can add something called a content block. And the first time I did this, I was like, hey, well, this shouldn't be this easy. So you add the content block, and then what you do is you have to switch over to HTML mode right here. Is that code view right there?
Yep.
And you hit view, code view, hit paste, hit done, and there you go. Now, what most people would do is set up a separate page to do that. That would be probably the more common way of doing it, is set up a separate page and go to the separate page here to do that. So let's kind of start over. We'll do it that way. Remove component. So we need to go to edit right here. Okay, set up a separate page. What's the best way to set up a separate page?
Hit that second back arrow, yeah, right next to header. There you go.
Add page, and we'll call this art portal. And then we'll put our whatever, we'll probably just do art portal as the kind of the / art portal in here. And I'm going to make the page go live, so we're going to hit create. So now we have the art portal page, and we're going to edit this page, and we're going to drop the content block in here. So now I'm going to drop the content block in here. Remember, we always want to go over here to code view, paste in the HTML code, hit done. And I don't really even have to move it up. Now, one kind of a best practice, a lot of times people will add another like a banner over here that kind of explains what the portal is. But this is just embedded into your site, and I'm going to save it because I like that in here. And let's kind of take a look at customer reviews, so see what their experience would be like. So their experience would just be like this, art portal, and they can go in and search art, and if they want to send a patch design idea over because you're going to bang out 1,000 Richardson hats for them, they can do that. They have the ability to go in here and submit a cool patch design. So that's how you add using custom HTML code. What are some other examples, Joel, of what people will do with custom HTML code?
The sky is the limit really, but you can add stuff like chat widgets, your own little custom widgets, pretty much anything that you could create with HTML, you can add to an InkSoft page.
So here's the real power user thing that we're going to talk about. So we added the designer to this store. So we added the designer to the store. Now we can turn the navigation off on the designer in the public facing store, but it's still available through the customer account. Okay. We created a proposal. I know we have at least one proposal connected to this store, probably more. And so if I log out of here and I sign in as the customer. So when you're working with a new account, one of the things that you can do is you can create a user account for the customer. Now, if they go in and they design something in the designer and they save a design in the designer, they have to put in their email and name and email. That will actually create a user account, but that is very low privileges. They can't go in and see all past orders. They can't do any of that stuff. They have very few privileges. Basically, they can see the art they saved. Is that about right? Does that sound about right?
Yeah, that's right.
But if you set up a user account for them, you can set them up as a store manager, so they can log in. They'll get an email to set a password, and I'm going to log in as like I'm the customer now, not the customer being you're the printer and your person from Central High School booster. I'm the booster parent now, so I'm signing in as the booster parent. And when I sign in as the booster parent, what can I do? I can see any quotes that are out. So this quote is out. Oh, I had a price increase. Good thing I put in an expiration date. They can click on that, and I'm not gonna update that proposal, change the date until I take and put some eyeballs on the pricing to make sure we're still good. This is also showing as an open order. We go to orders. This one's in process, but this is fulfilled. I want to do a reorder. So I open this up, I say reorder, I put in my notes on what I want to reorder. I want to reorder this exactly the same way we did last time, but here's my quantities. Whoever's on that proposal, the person that set up the proposal, is going to be notified that there's a reorder request via email. Also, if that person no longer works there, then whoever's the main email account for the account is going to get notified. So it'll actually check. It'll say, hey, listen, that person's email account, they're no longer there, but we're going to send it to the person of record for the InkSoft account. We're going to do that. So they can go in and reorder. So here's some, from my experience in dealing in the corporate world and the college bookstore world, when buyers want to place reorders, they really don't want to talk to you. And so that customer that was telling me, yeah, people call me, they email me, we chase text, they don't want to talk to you. They just want to place a reorder. And so if you train them to go to their account to initiate the reorder, that's how they're going to do it, because it's easy and it's fast. And then all you got to do is clone the proposal, send it back out to them, approve and pay, you get paid, done, super efficient. So I had a client, that I'll illustrate this point, that he signed up for InkSoft and he did a standard plan, which is limited to 100 stores. And he pinged me after a webinar and said, hey, listen, I gotta do the unlimited plan because I need to do more than 100 stores. I said, why do you need to do more than 100 stores? And he said, I set up user accounts for every one of my customers. I have 250 accounts. I set up a user account for all of them with a store. I created a store for them, simple store, cloned it, set up user accounts for all my customers because that's how they're doing all their reorders now. So I'm going to process all of the reorders through their user account, and it just ties them to me. It makes it super convenient. I'm not having to chase all these people around. I have a little draft email I sent out. It says, hey, this is how you log into your account. This is how you initiate a reorder. Customers love it. And so I've done that for my first 100 customers, and I'm going to do it for the next 150 because this was his hedge against customer attrition. It was his way of kind of tying his clients to him, to making it easy for them to do business together. It was a lockdown. move is what it was. And I just thought that was so smart. So that's why I share that with you guys. But there's another really cool part to this, which is why I enabled the designer in here, because customers can go see all the art they've uploaded, but they're not going to be able to do anything with it because it's a tiny little thumbnail. But anything they designed, they can go in and name drop it. So if they design this design right here, they can just click on edit and designer because I've enabled the designer in their account. Now I might not have it the link enabled on their main page, but it's still available in here. And so they can just say edit and designer. They can go in here and change this to volleyball. They can go in and change colors. They can take the next step and get a price quote or not, because when I set up the designer, one of the settings in the designer is whether or not we want to enable e-commerce. We should probably show them that setting. So they can go in and get a quote. And the way I have my pricing rules set up in my store is if they're only ordering 1 to 23, they're gonna pay a premium, because a couple things. Number one is I know that I've got some art time that I gotta have on this, and on one shirt, I have to amortize that art time over the smaller quantity, like one. So I'm gonna charge them $24.82. But I've got my pricing break set up, so once they hit 24, they get a huge discount. And so we're encouraging them to do the bigger order quantities. And now I make this 144. Boom, there they go. But they don't have to go all the way through pricing. I can just lock them out at save design. They save design. I go create a proposal real quick. Maybe we have a special on Fruit of the Loom shirts, and maybe I can do a little bit better deal with them. I'm notified that there's an abandoned cart or there's a design that's been created, so I can go back, convert that art and that product to a proposal and send them something a little bit more personal. So if you don't want next step in the e-commerce part live and active in your store, you just want to give them the designing ability, no ability to get a quote or check out, because you want to handle all those quotes manually. What you want to do, and I'm going to sign back in as an admin with my other email, so now I'm the store owner, is when you go to your store admin and you go to designer, let's see, share design, enforce boundaries, reveal blank pricing. Where do I change the setting for offering e-commerce on the designer, Joel?
That's going to be checkout settings.
Yep, there we go. Checkout settings. Go here and
The customer payment.
Disabled, right?
Yeah, then they could just submit it hassle-free.
So, one of the cool things about the designer is you can embed it into your website. It's just a design-only tool, not a quoting and checkout tool. Or you can let them go all the way based on your pricing logic. It's just kind of up to you. So what I would encourage all of you to do is utilize proposals as a tool to automate the sales process. If you're trying to scale, there's kind of two ways to do it. One way is to just throw more bodies and labor at it. And the other way is to spend a little time learning technology, like what you guys are all doing here today, and leverage technology to automate that. So now all of a sudden you have, this customer I was telling you about, he has 250 accounts. They all have stores set up, and it's a lot of work, but he did it because it was a good investment in his future. And you send out a little draft email that says, hey, listen, you've got an account now. You can log in. You can manage all your reorders. You can see all your art. If you design anything in the designer, you can go back and re-edit, name drop, all that fun stuff. To me, that's just a really good, smart business practice. That's just a really wonderful way to run your business. And we have clients that do this, and it's an incredibly successful strategy. So I guess if you learned a couple things here today, two big takeaways, I think, was, learning how to leverage the new clone stores feature. And then the other thing is really leveraging that customer portal feature and really using that to engage your clients and let them know, hey, listen, we have this really professional capability within our business, and you can log into your account and you can see, it's completely transparent, especially if you're doing a revenue sharing program. They can see all their orders, so it's transparent. They know you're paying them the revenue share because they can see every order that's generated through their store or through proposals. That's it. All right, so Joel, did we miss anything?
I think that's it.
Excellent. So what we're going to do next, we're going to go ahead and stop the recorded portion of the webinar, and you guys are drilling us with questions. So thanks again for joining Joel and us on InkSoft Academy, and we'll see you guys on the next one.